Hello, it's the Edible Valley Podcast. I'm William Stringer.
And I'm Chef Jonathan Fraser, and we just came down from the mountain.
Yeah, we did, twice.
Welcome to the Edible Valley Podcast.
We want to invite you as we embark on a culinary journey through the heart of Vancouver Island
From the fertile fields,
to the pristine waters of the Pacific Ocean.
we'll explore the stories behind the food that nourishes us.
Tune in to each episode as we deep dive into the flavors, the traditions, and the innovations that make this a true paradise.
Now please join us as we explore our Edible Valley.
All right, that was a bit cryptic. I mean, I'm going to tell that story later, but I did Mount Washington twice and consumed a lot of cheese.
That's good on you. You also consumed a lot of seafood. 'Cause
Oh
we
my
were
gosh.
Up there for the BC Seafood Festival 2024.
It was unbelievably fun. We were out there with Erin Halaschak.
My lovely wife.
Also, Erin Fraser,
Yes,
Nay Halaschak.
you got it.
There we go. I don't know why it took me an hour to get that sentence out. No, it really was a lot of fun. I went around and got some interviews. We really took the Edible Valley podcast out onto the road. We went live a lot on our Facebook page. I got progressively more drunk, it is fair to say, even though I had a reasonable amount of alcohol, three beers.
Yes, and you had maybe 10 crab and
10, I mean, I've
a
never...
bunch of chowder.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the chowder. I mean, where do we start? What do you want to talk about? Where do you want to start today?
Let's just, I think for people who haven't been to the festival,
Yeah.
it's changed a little bit. So originally the festival started down here. It started with the Seafood Festival. And that was back in 2006, I believe, was the
What
first
is it now, then?
year. So now it is a seafood festival. So we've moved up from just shellfish into encompassing all seafood in BC. Yeah.
Right. You see, on the podcast, on the live videos on Facebook, which you can find on the Edible Valley podcast on Facebook, I was calling it the Shellfish Festival. Because and I had to ask. I was like, am I getting it wrong? It feels wrong. And yeah, it's evolved.
It is totally evolved.
Okay,
so
that
now
makes
we're
sense.
the BC Seafood Festival.
Yeah,
So it's
okay.
the largest seafood festival in BC. And it's really just about showcasing what we have in our local waters here and being responsible and then just understanding what we have here to offer. So it was a great time. We had a lot of fun. There was a lot of chefs from all over BC. We had a lot of students from both North Island College. So we had a large group of kids from there as well, or students, I should say. And we had a bunch of students from VIU. So this was their first time to actually come up and check out.
Vancouver Island University.
Yes, Vancouver Island. So this was their first time, and they're super excited because next year they want to be a part of it and have their own booth and do some of their own stuff.
Oh, great.
So it's one of those ones that I feel like it's growing.
Yeah.
And it's just getting better and better.
Yeah.
And originally we used to be down at the Philberg, which was a beautiful location, and eating
Gosh.
fresh seafood down
Yeah.
on the water there's nothing nicer. And we started with a big gala dinner. And so we came in there, and I think it was all local chefs, and we had 6 or 7 of us, maybe it was 8 of us, can't remember. And we all did a course. It was about 300 people. And so it was like we had clams, we had
Are you talking about when
mussels.
it's at Philberg?
This was at the Philberg. So
Okay.
that was the goal down there. And we do a plated 300 people. It was a huge production. And then every year they started adding more and more on. And eventually we moved into the down at the marina and Comox and started doing some demos and having a little festival there.
From the Philberg.
From the Philberg.
Okay.
And then
Because I've got to say, I remember I actually came here in 2013, and at the time I worked at the acclaimed Atlas Cafe, and Sandra Viney convinced me to do some shifts to help out the Seafood Festival.
of course, yes.
And my blind loyalty to that wonderful lady led me to doing that. And it had a lot of fun. It was actually the first time I'd seen it.
It's a great event, right? Like, it's a lot of fun. And so what we did is we slowly built on that. And then we expanded, and the Philberg expanded as well, too, and started doing a lot more events there. And sort of the drawback is that it was damaging to the Philberg. Like the Filbert was getting destroyed from this event with the amount of people that was coming down there. And we also ran into the problem of having kitchens and facilities and accommodations for people to come to this event. So that's where Mount Washington stepped up.
Yeah, you see, I thought it was a bit weird at first because I'd never really connected the sea and the mountain. I mean, they're vertically the furthest away you can get from the sea. And then you see the location and you can literally see the oceans and the islands. You get a better view of it from there than anywhere.
Oh, of course, you know.
I mean, it really is genius, whoever thought to go there.
Oh, exactly. And then it opens it up, and it also gives us the ability to have areas that are inside so people can go in and eat in the sheltered weather. Like if it gets a little windy, you know, if it gets a little bit of rain. We had some sprinkle this year, which was a little bit difficult, but everything else went really, really well.
Yeah, the infrastructure is fantastic up at Mount Washington. Very, very friendly. Lots of places to go. I mean, you were at Bear Lodge, weren't you?
Yeah, we were there. And I was staying up in Bear Lodge. I had a room up there, and a bunch of the chefs snuck up there after their hard day there, and decided to watch the hockey game. So we got to watch the
and short sheet your bed.
And they may have done that,
which I'd never heard of. But once you climbed into bed many hours later, that was a funny little joke.
Yeah, no, I was exhausted. One thing about Mount Washington, they have more stairs, especially for the chefs. And it's a maze, their kitchen, because they have so many kitchens and we were using all of them. So it was just fun, or not fun, but like just the organizing and coordinating everything was just really, really, really interesting to be able to be like, because we had stuff in the basement down on the 3rd floor where all of our fridge and stores were. And then we would move everything all the way up to the top 3rd floor, which was our main cooking kitchen. So
I mean, you took me through it. I mean, it was just absolutely endless.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a great place. I was saying to Eva the next day, you know, we can just pop up that mountain whenever we like. I mean, we are unbelievably spoiled. I live on Muir Road. It's 24 minutes from Muir Road. You're slightly caning it, but it is 24 minutes. And we saw a bear on the way down as well, for good measure.
Which always makes it more fun, right? So
now, I've got to talk to you a little bit later about what I was doing driving up and down that mountain. But, you know, today we're going to show you some interviews because I wasn't just there for a pretty face. We actually spent some time interviewing people at the event and really kind of getting in there with what the event was and their perspective. I really enjoyed meeting some people.
I laughed that you say we because it was mostly you, because I was in the kitchen.
Well, you were actually cooking.
Yes, because while you were there, I did the crab boil. Well, we should go through some of the events that happened there, right?
Well, I want to say, right, what we're going to play now, I did manage to grab you for a quick interview. Right. Should we do that now?
Just put that on.
All right, this is the very quick interview from John that he did not give me permission to do. All right, so I am just everywhere today. I've met this amazing guy. His name's, get this, John, his name's Jonathan, and it's the same name, and funnily enough, the same guy. Hi, John.
How you doing, Will?
I'm all right, mate. What are you doing?
We've just been doing a beautiful crab boil. Just went through like so much Dungeness crab. We got like 200 happy people out there, so yeah, it was a great time. So
I might know about this because I might have had, but I may not have, but did have 2 bowls of it.
Did you have 2 bowls?
A lot of crab.
Were you hanging out with my wife? Because
I was. Who doesn't like seafood?
Really, I know. That's not her thing. So
she's got a packet of crisps, so it's fine.
We're keeping her good. I told her to bring her own food. So.
All right, mate. You are busy, man.
Yeah, man. I'm running around. We're just cleaning up after this event, and then we're gonna have another party tonight. So
good times.
We'll keep going. Cheers.
All right, there it is.
That's it. Yeah. As you can tell, I was a little out of breath.
Yeah.
I had probably done about 10,000 stairs by then.
Your lips were saying one thing and your eyes were saying another.
Yes.
Your eyes were saying something which is very unholy and ended with you.
Oh, exactly. And that was a fun event because before that we had all the chefs in there.
Yeah.
And they were doing the clam it up. So we had 3 stations out there doing 3 different types of clam dishes.
Oh, wow.
So there was a clam seafood or pasta with clams in it. There was just some beautiful steamed clams. There was a clam chowder. And there was one other event up there. But you know what? We should just play the little interview of your good buddy, Ed. No, wait.
Ed Bell. So okay. I'm not in any way, I've not got a drinking problem, but I had in the whole night 3.5 tinnies, probably about a pint and a half.
Right.
But I barely drink now. I mean, it's negligible. It's probably half of what I'm going to eat in the whole year, drink in the whole year. So I was a little bit tipsy. So when I interviewed Ed,
Ned.
gosh, for God's sake, Ned, first thing he said, and he's a funny chap, he laughed and said, well, first of all, it's Ned. It is very embarrassing. But anyway, should we just play that?
Just play that one.
Okay, this is Ned Bell. Ned.
It's the Edible Valley podcast. I am still at the BC Seafood Festival 2024, and I'm with none other than Ed Bell. Hi, Ed. How are you?
Well, good, but my name's Ned.
Did I say Ed?
Yes.
Mate, can I be honest with you?
Of course you can.
I may or may not, but definitely have had 3 beers.
Well, I can be Ed for today. How about that?
Hello, Ed. Right, Ned, talk to me about what it takes to bring all this together as you have done today.
Well, I mean, first of all, a whole bunch of your best seafood friends, as I like to call them, my fishy friends. You know, we got chefs from all over BC, a couple from Alberta. We've got some friends from the Lower Mainland, of course, all up and down the island, and really just people that have been a part of the seafood industry for the past however long they've been cooking. 10, 20, 30 years, and they're wanting to celebrate fishers and farmers that are putting delicious seafood on their customers' plates.
And what's the favourite thing for you about this event?
Well, I mean, first of all, we get to see all of our fishers here, you know, whether it's our crab fishers tonight or our mussel farmers or our oysters and clam, growers and harvesters. The thing about this festival is it's really a celebration of this incredible industry from the south coast of British Columbia to the north coast of British Columbia, the longest continuous coastline in the entire North America. It's a special place, and we have some of the best seafood in the world that comes from our clean, healthy ocean.
And do you think this is the best seafood in the world?
Of course, I will say yes to that. There is some extraordinary seafood all over the world. I mean, there's 5 oceans and 7 seas. We just happen to be surrounded by 3 of them. We have delicious seafood on the East Coast, delicious seafood in the Arctic. We live on the West Coast, and so of course we're pretty, what am I trying to say? We're pretty proud of the king and queens of seafood here on the West Coast. I'm stumbling a bit there, but I'm trying to sort of give some good thoughts around what makes BC seafood special. It's our ocean, it's our forests, it's our streams, it's our healthy lakes, oceans, and rivers, it's our eagles and whales and bears and trees, it's our First Nations and Indigenous peoples that have been conscious consumers and stewards of this ecosystem for 12,000 years. We as Canadians have only been here for a few hundred. So, it's our job to wake up, listen. Climate change and overfishing are the 2 largest threats that face our world's oceans. We just need to do a much better job when we're protecting these resources that are delicious. And if you think about it, wild seafood is the last wild protein that we still get to eat. Yeah. We eat farmed animals that are raised for our consumption.
That's a really interesting point.
Yeah, we still get to eat wild salmon, right? We still get to eat halibut and albacore tuna and gooey duck and octopus and sea urchin and herring. The list is long.
And can you speak to the food scene specifically in the Comox Valley?
Well, I mean, I've been coming to the Seafood Festival since 2013. It's always been vibrant. It's always sort of turning, because that's the restaurant business. It turns over every number of years. I heard you mention Atlas before. Like, Atlas has been a staple in the valley for a long time. I mean, there's always been really keen chefs that are committed to the local food scene, whether it's local farmers, local growers, and local fishers. Chefs like Chef Renaud from Locals, or Chef Leslie Staub, or, the culinary schools that are dotting the Mid-Island. Like, this is like food mecca here for the wild West Coast, and we get to celebrate it with the Seafood Festival, but we really get to celebrate it all over Canada and around the world because we export so much of our seafood.
Chef Ned, thank you so much for joining us on the Edible Valley podcast. Will you come on the actual podcast at some point?
I would absolutely love to.
Thank you, sir. Cheers. Thank you so much. Thanks, you are a good speaker.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, all right. Cheers. Thank you.
Oh, that's Ned Bell.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, he was such a good guy. Just being able to coordinate and organize all the chefs. He was running around in circles I remember on the Friday, he came to me and he went, I went for a bike ride this morning. And he's like, I forgot about how many stairs were here.
And he was in a really good mood.
He was
a very good person to
awesome,
interview.
great person to work with.
Yeah.
Super organized, was able to keep all the chefs going in the right direction, even with all the chaos of everything happening. Because we could just talk about some of the events that were going on there. Like we had a series of master classes. So they were anything from gooey ducks. I did one on crabs. We did one on seafood towers. There was a bunch on halibut and ground fish. And they just kept going through the whole day of doing different master class after master class, mussels, all those kind of events. So those were scattered throughout, and those were paid events. So the master classes you could come to, they'd give you a sample, some flavorings, you could try some stuff. And then the next ones were, there was a bunch of demos going on. So all those same classes, they'd be demoing out amongst the crowd. So they had a little pavilion set up during the Saturday, Sunday. And so there was a bunch of different organizations down there. There were some drinks and some beverages and just some different flavors. The North Vancouver Island Chefs Association, we had a booth down there, and we paired with wild Pacific halibut. And they donated halibut to us. So we were serving little halibut on a nice rice salad with a blueberry chutney and a little bit of a juniper aioli on it. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm just promoting those. We made a bunch of money as a fundraiser. It was all donation. And so
Where did that go?
That is going to go into our bursaries and into the organization so that we can do event for chefs and young chefs so that they can get out and get experience and get training and all that. So that's where that happened. I talked about the Clam It Up, which everyone was down there, and they had the big clam festival. The crab boil, which I did, which was 200 people, which we made huge big crab bowls, all boiled up. So there was some mussels in there. We had some corn and some nice potatoes in there with like a good crab and a half on top of each one. There was the shucking oyster bar happy hour, which they had an afternoon where they did nothing but shucking oysters and had drinks and beverages and good time.
Shucker Paddy.
Shucker Paddy, yes.
I mean, my gosh.
Now we're on to that.
What a guy. Shucker Paddy. I thought it was Patty, and I thought because Patty here is pronounced Paddy.
Right.
And Paddy is pronounced Paddy. Slight error there, in my opinion. But anyway, that's the name. Shucker Paddy is an absolute legend. I mean,
he's a
how
great
much
guy.
fun. Right up there in the Guinness Book of Records. It was definitely probably like the most famous person I've ever interviewed. Should we put him on?
Yeah, let's put him on.
Okay.
You had a great conversation with him.
Absolutely.
So.
And I'm actually in it next year.
There you go.
You
Yeah,
hear
he's
it
going
from
to
me.
teach
You're
you
gonna
how
hear
to.
it.
You're going to be. You could be a world record holder.
You're going to hear it now.
Yeah.
And it's the Edible Valley Podcast. This is William Stringer. I'm having an absolutely wonderful time at the BC Seafood Festival 2024. I've been introduced to this wonderful man, Shucker Paddy, and he is, I mean, I've got to let you introduce yourself, but you are a Guinness Book of Records record holder.
I am actually a Guinness Book of World Records holder, yes. So when people ask, what have you done in the world of oyster shucking? I am world champion, so that's Galway Oyster Festival, 2002 world champion. I've been there twice fastest, and then I've also got the Guinness Book of World Records for 39 oysters in a minute and 1,114 oysters in an hour.
Oh my God. Now, a lot of people know this, but about 2015, I was in Ottawa, and I was in a competition in a pub. It was minus 50, side note. And
Balmy day.
Balmy
day.
Indeed. And I came 13th out of, I think, about 50. I've been drinking quite a lot. Maybe they were entertaining me, but I would love to shuck an oyster with you at some point.
Oh, yeah. If you're sticking around, we'll show you how to shuck an oyster. That's not a problem. You're always welcome.
Absolutely amazing. Now, what do you like about the BC Seafood Festival here in the Comox Valley?
The crack is huge. Over here, you can hear the music in the background. The visuals, you've got mountains with glaciers. You got trees, you've got little flies buzzing around you because they want to join in all the fun as well.
They are.
No, you can't have my crab. I'm going to eat it anyways. And the food is fantastic. Like, it comes from the water, it comes from the earth that is around here. It's so nutrient dense. It's amazing, this place. It's magical.
And have you been doing this festival for many, many years?
This festival I think I've done for about 8 years. There was a little hiatus once or twice, but yes, I've been doing it consistently for a very long time. It's been growing in its style. This is the second year we've been here at the Mountain, and I think it's a fantastic venue as it is. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it's one of these top-notch oyster festivals globally, I think.
Yeah, honestly, you really get that feeling, but at the same time, it feels very personable and you feel very close to the food. It's not pretentious. You know, I mean, I'm talking to you. You can come up and talk to anyone. In terms of food, the listeners on the podcast know that I know, excuse my French, sod all. But you can go and talk to everyone. It's an absolute privilege. You get to learn so much.
This ocean seafood that we're showcasing here today is sustainable as well as what we want to showcase as well. But really, when it comes down to it, it's the crab is just brought out of the water. We had a crab supper today. You're eating with your hands. You have to break open crab and then eat it and suck it and taste it and lick your fingers. And your community is doing it. There's 300 people packed into a 100-person tent. And then oysters today, what we were doing is just sucking on the half shell has been absolutely fantastic. And less is more in the world of oyster when it comes down to it. It's sort of like lingerie, you know. You want to have the oyster just as it is. You eat the oyster naked, keep your clothes on, but you can have the oyster naked with nothing. You'll get more out of it than you will if you have it fully dressed. But you can do both ways as well if you want to. We're all okay.
Honestly, it was buttery. I'd never had to break it open like that before, and I loved every moment. It really was. Oh, it was amazing.
Beautiful stuff. And I love the oysters and the shellfish here, so thank you very much for having me here.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, Shaka Paddy. It was an absolute pleasure.
My pleasure.
And that's Shaka Paddy, absolute legend.
Yeah, and you know
Really
what? He
fun
did
guy.
a whole bunch of other events too. Like he did a couple breakfasts. I helped him with one breakfast on Sunday where we did a nice breakfast salad. So it was like with fresh fruit and all that in a nice blueberry vinaigrette. So it was fun working with him, and it was so neat connecting with these other chefs. Of course, I wanted to talk about the North Vancouver Island Chefs Association. We did a beautiful halibut luncheon that was like so much fun.
Oh,
so that
yeah.
was with North Island College with their students. They came up there and these students were amazing. They prepped it for 2 days before, got everything ready. Then we went up there. We did this halibut gravlax, beet infused halibut gravlax. We did this tom yum soup. So it had sablefish prawns and scallops in it. And then we did for the main course, we actually did a buffet so we could get everyone up. And this was for 120 people. They all came up and we served them prosciutto wrapped halibut with some roasted asparagus, crab stuffed tomatoes, and then a shiitake mushroom rice. And it was
sounds
just
delicious.
a beautiful time. And we had a nice carrot and celery root puree that went underneath the halibut. And just absolutely fabulous. And then we finished off because I raided my dad's garden and stole all of his rhubarb. And so we made a rhubarb and strawberry cheesecake that was in a little cup. So it was
delicious.
such a good time. And that was like a huge event. And that was one of the ones I was involved. After that, I actually took the rest of Saturday night off because that's when, boom, the big gala dinner happened.
Oh, wow.
Now
I wasn't there for this.
Yeah.
So I'm taking your word for it.
but there's too much to even say about this one because there was 14 chefs. They were doing 14 different dishes using everything that we had there. And so it was just a great time to sample. And that was for about 375 people were in for that. So they were running and it was just a great, great time. And then that was the Saturday. Big night, lots of music down there, lots of people having fun.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Sunday was there, but was it kind of like the big one? The
Gala dinner's the big one.
Yeah.
And then the Sunday was a lot of master classes.
Yeah.
That's when I did my master class, as well as they had a couple breakfasts. And then they had a salmon cookout, which they were cooking salmon. You got to cook your own salmon at the table.
Oh, actually at the table?
Yeah, exactly. So there was all these great events, such a fun time. And it's something I just encourage everyone if they have a chance to come up there next year, because I know it's going to be back next year because we do this every year. It's such a big event.
We're going to step it up. I reckon we want to try and at some point get a tent.
Yes.
And then and just spend the whole weekend up there.
It sounds great.
mean,
and that goes you got to
I'm
talk
up
to
for
a
that.
couple people here that were just up there for the event, right?
I mean, yeah. So, yes. No.
You did?
No. So the guy I spoke to that was just up there for the event was a professor of mine.
Okay.
And he was having a good dance. I'm not going to name him. But I didn't ask him for an interview because he seemed like he'd had a few, and I didn't want to disturb in any way. Absolute legend guy, though, a wonderful, wonderful man. So, but actually, I want to play this one now. It's Carolina. She runs the Gumboot Market in Merville.
Excellent.
Yeah, by the big yellow hall. So this is Carolina. She was actually doing the booze. She does also work for Hoyne.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, here she is.
All right, it's William Stringer for the Edible Valley podcast. Why are you laughing? I'm going to put her on straight away. It's Carolina. She runs the Gumboot Market every Sunday night. Absolutely critical artery of the Comox Valley food scene. Carolina, I was trying to buy time so you stop laughing. What's going on?
We're having a good time at the Gumboot Market every Sunday. Time has changed 2 to 5 now. We're a little bit earlier. We're catching the crowds when they're ready to eat some food. Jackknife Pizza has been there.
He's an absolute legend. Going to jump in there. He made a pizza with a whole wheel of brie in the middle.
Yep. We've got some cool people running that Jackknife Pizza. They're making good food. And they made pulled pork sandwiches last week. And good music happening while we're there, and the vendors are amazing. We've got everything you need.
Now, talk to me about the BC Seafood Festival. We're actually at that right now. You've started off laughing again. How are you enjoying the festival so far? You're running the booze.
I am running the booze. We're selling a lot of bottles of wine. It's great. People are having a good time. We're watching some really nice bowls of crab going around. They look delicious and messy. A lot of people washing their hands after.
I've just washed my hands. I've actually never had fresh crab before. Absolutely delicious. Usually I have to get a tin opener, but the tin opener is the hardest bit of the work. Not anymore.
No. You need one of those pickers this time and a cracker. They should be giving you bibs.
Yeah, we need a bit.
Yeah.
Carolina, you run the Gumboot Market. What's your title for the Gumboot Market?
I don't know, market manager we've come up with, but that seems boring. So.
Okay, Carolina, she doesn't know market manager, but that seems boring. Thank you very much for joining.
No problem. Thanks, William.
Cheers to you.
Yeah, she's very giggly. Yeah, she likes to laugh. And I don't think she drinks that much. But yeah, that was Carolina. So do remember the Gumboot Market. If you stick to the Comox Valley, you won't see it. You got to get up on that highway about 5 miles north, look for the big yellow Merville Hall, and it's every Sunday. I think she said it was 3 till 6. 3:30 till 6:30, something like that.
Just show up.
Yeah, show up.
Just start knocking
Sunday
on the
night.
door. Someone will let you in.
It's a fun it's a party market.
Yeah.
So if you're at a market, it's party market.
Well, that's great.
Now, I want to talk about Chef Mark.
Oh, Chef Mark. He was great. So he was the one of the chefs that I worked with to do the Crab Fest.
Okay.
And the crab boil. So it was excellent. We just got in there. We started cooking crabs. We cooked over to 300 crabs. And it was just full, intense, just good. And it's like, we just met, right? Like literally they had him and
he's a character.
Yeah, they were coming up the hill and they got a flat tire.
Oh no.
On the way up to the mountain from Vancouver. So they showed up about an hour late.
Oh,
they made it in there and we just went nuts, right?
Okay, it's the Edible Valley podcast. I'm still having a good time. Am I allowed to say this getting progressively drunk? Am I allowed to say a podcast? I'm with the amazing Mark Singson. He is a private chef.
That's correct.
And it looked like you've been incredibly busy back here, Mark.
Yes, it's been a really good night. We did the crab boil for 200 people. It's been amazing. We had a great team. We had Tushar, Chef Ned Bell, Des helped out, and tons of hands, Chef John. Everyone, fantastic evening. Love it here. Wow.
Would you say this is your favourite event you come to?
This is definitely my favorite event that I've come to this year.
Oh my God, I love this guy.
Honest truth, I don't want to lie.
Have you had a drink yet?
A few.
Yeah.
An empty stomach.
All right, favourite part of today?
Just really getting to connect with all the industry people. It's been a long time, and as a private chef, I'm in people's houses and homes, and it was just really good to reconnect and seeing all the OGs and chefs that I look up to,
I'm sure you enjoy being a private chef, and I'm sure it's got a ton of stuff going for it, but it must be nice to hang out with lots of other chefs from time to time.
Yeah, it's been great. And then, even when we do pop-ups back in Vancouver, we don't really see many chefs because like when we host a pop-up, they're working. So again, it's just been a pleasure to be surrounded with so much talent.
Chef Mark, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Sorry. Much love. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
And it was great. Like there was so many other chefs involved. Like I wish I should just be name dropping, right?
Yeah.
Like,
We didn't, honestly, like, there were so many on my list that I wanted to interview. And, you know, it took so long because there were so many people and we were just doing interview. And so, they started going to bed and all that. They'd had really, really long days. So we didn't get a chance. And I had a wedding to go to on the mainland.
Yeah.
So I actually was on the 8 o'clock ferry the next morning. And so I didn't get to interview everyone. But if they're not interviewed, I tried.
and then
But
of course
my
you
gosh.
left and went down the mountain. And
Yeah.
realized and left your bag and had to get driven
That's
back
my
up
secret
here
story,
to get your
Well, so I dropped off. I had a few. Who was Erin's colleague?
Oh, Olivier.
Olivier, absolute legendary guy.
Yes.
He's moving to Victoria.
A former member of the Record newspaper here in town.
Great guy,
Yeah.
And he did a fascinating article actually where he spent the night in the Connect Centre. I think that's something that he was probably quite well known for here in the Valley. So we had a good chat on the way down. Got into downtown Comox where he lives, and then I realised I'd left my bloody wallet up on the top of the mountain.
Back you
So I was
came.
like, well, that's it. There's no traffic at that time of the night, but I went to the gas station, bought a massive bag of cheesies, put the radio on and blasted back up the
you go.
mountain, and we saw a bear, which is really wonderful.
Yeah.
So
all around great event.
Oh,
Lots of
amazing.
time.
Next year, we're going to spend the whole weekend. We're going to blow the thing up. I mean, that in the nicest possible way. We're going to hopefully have a real part for the extent that they want us to. We'll be there for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because and I took the last 2 days just to recover, so that's why we're a day late getting into recording here.
Oh,
so.
I know. And I was instantly into a 2 days of weddings and travel, and then immediately into a busy work week. So I am shagged.
It's
to
all
be
right.
quite honest.
We're here at Jet FM again, right? So we're back in the studio, this makes life so much easier.
Let's thank them.
Let's
yeah.
just to show up here, plug in our stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, 98.9 Jet FM, the Comox Valley's Best Rock, and Jet Nation. Honestly, these folks are wonderful. Really do. When you sit in the car, tune in, 98.9 Jet FM. You've got the hosts. They're here. They're live. They're putting the heart and soul into it. They're everyone from production, the advertising team, their talent. They are all here in the Comox Valley, making their lives here and supporting this local community. What a wonderful group of people. And I really mean that.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
definitely for sure. So
Yeah. So thank you very much for them. And well, I mean, look, what a great podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And we're going to make it even better, bigger and better next year. And I can't wait. I mean, what's our next show going to be about? We've got a
What's
few
our
guests.
next show? We got a few guests lined
Yeah.
up that we're going to be bringing in here over the next couple weeks. And
Excited.
I'm going to be talking about some cooking classes and lessons and stuff like that. And
we need to get back to
how
those
to become
recipes.
really good food. So
There we go.
Yeah.
So thanks very much for listening. As usual, my name is William Stringer. Am I the co-host?
You are the co-host,
Also, I'm a realtor for Royal LePage in the Comox Valley. Just looking for an excuse to get that out.
And I'm, of course, Chef Jonathan Fraser, who wears a dozen hats in the Comox Valley.
Go on, talk about the hats.
From the North Vancouver Island Chefs Association to Locals Restaurant, Edible Valley Podcast, and I spend a little time up at North Island College. So I got a full plate.
All right, have a great one.
Thank you.